Welcome to Lollytasking with ADHD. I am your host, Dr. Lolliday, a multi passionate mom of three, a physician, and an ADHD life coach because, like most of you amazing women listening, I have ADHD. Join me as we chat about how ADHD affects our lives and learn strategies to help us all thrive, not just survive, with ADHD so we can live the life we want while accomplishing all our goals. Let's get started. Hello, Lolly Taskers. Again, I am Dr. Lolliday, a physician and ADHD trained life coach who helps easily distracted women maximize their 24 hours. So, here is another week, a week in the United States of America tax week. So, we're going to talk about that a little bit. But before we get started, I want to give a shout out to one of our amazing listeners, MX Sandy 12. Alexani says really deals with the topic well in a way that is easy to digest and is super helpful. Thank you for this. Because this is the whole goal of me doing this. I really want you guys to be able to connect with it and really realize that, let's say, ADHD can be simple to understand as well. So I appreciate that comment. That means a lot to me, MX Sandy. So, anyways, if you love the podcast, I encourage you to leave a review, like, subscribe, and share with your friend. And when you leave a review, just maybe I will give you a shout out on our next episode. So, like I was saying earlier, if you are in the US of A, we all know it's tax week. If you're listening in tax week in April, that is right. Tax week for some of us is happy because we're getting refunds because we overpaid, but it's quite sad for the others of us because we got to pay the government, right? So, because some of us we have to pay the government, we're really not interested in doing it on time because there's no big reward that we're going to get from it, right? So, and even some of us will get a refund, like because we're not looking at the long term of it, or maybe I don't know if you're just not into tax, right? And it's so interesting because I was always the person who did your tax like in January of every year when I used to get a refund, and then when I needed to start paying the government back, girl, let me tell you, girl, boy, whoever's listening, let me tell you, it literally will stay till like last week before I did my taxes. So this is a PSA for anyone who has not done their taxes yet. Don't wait till tomorrow. Today, get it done. It really won't take as long as you think it will take. I say if you have to like collect things you need to like deduct, go ahead and collect it. Like just go ahead and do it because those IRS fine is no joke. So go ahead and do your taxes right now. Yes, thank you. Okay, so when I was thinking about what to talk about this week, I was like, you know what? There's something that's been bothering me. It's called the ADHD tax. If you have not heard this, let me break it down to you. So the ADHD tax is the price we pay as people who have ADHD. I said who ADHD? As people who have ADHD because we're impulsive, so we're impulsive spenders. We procrastinate on things that we want to do, or we just don't do it, or we just truly forget. Like we mean to do it and they truly forget because we have not externalized our executive function. So, what I always say is the price you pay for not externalizing your executive function is a lot more than you think, right? So, if you forget important things, right, you may either lose the right to do it or you could get fined for it, right? And all these things can lead to like late fees, higher interest rate, or even bad credit. And which we know, especially in the USA, if you have bad credit, it's really hard to get a lot of stuff. So there are very expensive repercussions that comes from credit. Another thing that we are very susceptible to is impulse spending, or what I like to call emotional spending too. Impulse spending is you buy, you don't think about it. Emotional spending is you are tired, exhausted, you have anxiety, someone pissed you off, and you go straight to Amazon.com to see what makes you feel better, right? So you're trying to fill the void. So a lot of us do that. And all these can lead to higher plane tickets, right?
Or all of a sudden, like, okay, I want to go to the beach tomorrow, right? You didn't plan it, but you want to do it all of a sudden, and you really don't need to go, but because maybe someone pissed you off and you want to go to the beach, so you now spend $500 a night at the hotel. You could have paid $100 for if you had planned ahead, right? So there's a lot of ways that we lose it, right? And don't get me started on gullible marketing. Like gullible marketing will get us because it's just like, oh, we want it, and then we get it, right? So let me even give you an example of the way ADHD taxes affected me. So, for example, I had an important thing to do this Thursday. I knew about this since uh February. I even was good enough to take time off for it, okay? So I knew about it and I was like, oh, I'll just buy my plane ticket later. Well, here's the thing, I forgot to write it down, which is so unlike me because as soon I know me, I know I have to write everything down. So what I should have done was as soon as I thought about it, write it down on my planner. That way I could carry it over or schedule it to when I want to do it. So I forgot to write it down. It wasn't until like a week ago because I was supposed to be staying with my sister. My sister's like, "Oh, I can't wait to see you next week." And I was like, "Why you see me next week?" She was like, you think?" And I was like, "Holy schmoly, I forgot about it." But guess what? You guys know how the gas prices are. When I looked at the tickets to where my sister lives, it was literally like $800. And for me, it wasn't even financially worth it anymore at that point in time, and I had to cancel it. And I'm so bad at myself, right? But at the same time, I'm like, you know what, Lola? This, instead of being mad at yourself, just go ahead and remind yourself why you need to externalize everything. So in situations like that, guys, when you're mad at yourself that you forgot or you did an impulsive spending, instead of you being mad at yourself, just be like, you know what, guys? Brain, let's just go ahead and realize that this is why we cannot be doing this, okay? So, as me, I'm an ADHD coach and I'm still having issues with this when I don't externalize my executive function. And when you tell yourself, okay, so what are we going to do better next time, right? So, guess what I did? I went ahead and booked my ticket to somewhere I was going in July. I just went ahead and did all that, right? Like, yeah, we're not doing this again. So, anyways, yeah, so that's my story, and I'm telling you my story to let you know that I'm still successful to it. Like, I still need to plan ahead. So all these things I'm telling you are things that have helped me and have things I've tried to get this in place. Okay, so what are the big picture? You guys know I like big picture and then I like simple. Simple, simple, simple. Simple helps our brain. So when you're trying to get your finances under control, especially if you have ADHD, you know, you have to keep it simple. There's so many charts and so many this and listen, don't do it. Don't do it because you're not going to follow through on it. Keep it very simple, be proactive, and try to avoid crisis. What do I mean by that? When we're in financial crisis, you would think we want to be even more proactive. A lot of us just shut down, right? Like I didn't want to think about it. And this, for example, affected me when when I had kind of ignored my ADHD for a while. My loans, I really did not know how to deal with it. And guess what? What would an amazing person do? You would go to a financial person, right? So, but ADHD me, right? Which I'm still amazing. Let's keep it real, right? But a neurotypical person be like, okay, how do I deal with this? I was just like, this is too much. I'm in training right now. I'm just gonna avoid it. Well, guess what? By the time I was done with training, my student loans are doubled, right? Because you know what? I just put it in forbearance. However, if I had planned ahead of it, there's so many things I could have done that would have not prevented my student loans to double. So if that right there, and I'm talking about a big FT ADHD tax up to $140,000. Okay, so that was one of the things that actually made me say, you know what? You really need to get your ADHD under control because this is ridiculous. You don't need to be giving the bank any more money than they have already. Okay? I say this all the time. Like, you don't need to be paying the bank. Like, the bank has moolah. They are rich. You don't need to pay them any more money in late fees. You don't need to give them any more money in fines. You don't need to give them any more money in higher interest rates, right? They got enough. You need to be able to keep that for yourself and have generational wealth. That right there was a mindset shift that helped me, with my finances. Okay, so number one, here are some things I do. Okay, before I even talk about the things to do, it is very important to get a budget, guys. I know you don't want a budget, but it is very important. And not only do you want a budget that you review regularly because we're good at planning, but the follow through, we're not that good at it because once we are not looking at it, it's totally out of our out of our purview, right? Like if you're not looking at it, it's like, oh, it doesn't exist. So that's the first thing I recommend. Get a budget. So when it comes to bills, let's go in stacks. When it comes to bills, just automate everything, yeah. Just automate it because if you have a certain amount coming in every month, so the way I do it is I have my paycheck comes in like early in the month, so I automate everything like on day 2 or 3, and I even try to get the bills that are due in the middle of the month be due earlier. That way, all those just come out. What did I still do despite automating everything is to just review every month just to make sure it is still working. I have a couple of bills I don't automate. Those are bills that fluctuate every month. So those bills, that's partly why I review my bills still, even though I automate, I'm able to remember that okay, I need to pay those fluctuating bills, right? But when I know though I just need to pay 1 or 2 bills versus 20 or 30 bills because you know, I'm a family. We have a lot of bills, and my business has a lot of bills too. So if I had to think of about paying like 10, 15 bills, like I would shut down, right? But just knowing that I'm just reviewing the bills, make sure it came through, and I just need to pay 1 or 2 bills is so much easier for me. Okay, so what else do I do? I direct deposit, right? Thankfully, most um, offices even require that, so it's good. That way, it just goes in. Another thing I do after direct deposit, before I even automate my bills, one of the reasons why I pay like a couple days after I get my paycheck is because I also automate my savings. So I have a certain amount that goes into this saving and that saving and that saving. That way I don't have to think about it. So the money in my account is based on the budget that I have set that I would be needing to use. So it's very, very important. Um, there's certain things I also automate, like automating like renewal, not renewal. Okay, so for example, I don't even know what category I can put this in. In Florida, we have toll gates, right? So once the money in the toll gets to a certain level, I automatically do it where it gets maybe $50 from my credit card. I think I put it at $10 because what happens is you don't have money in your toll, you actually get I think they charge you higher. Don't caught me on this, but I just rather just automate that and the $50 or however much like come out every month. That way it's good. Credit cards. Oh, so here's the thing. A lot of ADHD people say carry cash. Listen, that just does not work for me. I pay everything with credit card, but the way I counter overspending with credit card is I actually pay my credit card every week. It's something that was hard to do in the beginning, but it became a habit. And me paying my credit card every week made sure that my minimum or the maximum that I get in my credit card is less than I think it's 10% or 30% you're supposed to pay. Um, and before I can pay my credit card, I have to look at my checking accounts, right, to see how much I have. So it helps me know, okay, Lola, you spent too much this week. You need to chill for next week. So that's the hint I use. And my credit card ends up being amazing point system for when I travel and stuff. So I do not use cash all the time. I barely carry cash, and I have cash now for the kids because I do allowances for them, but I rarely carry cash, so everything is in the banks. Okay, So, what about growth? How do you grow your finances? So, I'm like the worst person to ask about this, even though I do so many things, but I also know that I have made some financial mistake that's been costly in the past. So, I try to like stay in my lane when giving financial advice. However, that being said, get a financial planner. You know, I had someone come talk to me about my student loans and ways to like fix it and all that stuff, right? Before I started to fix it and refinance and do this and do that. Sometimes we're being penny wise and pound foolish. We're like, I don't want to pay anybody. I could do it myself. We do that all the time. I could do it myself. I don't need anybody. I could do it myself. But here's the thing. If you thinking of the time to do it yourself, if you had just paid someone to help you through it, you had saving yourself for the long haul a lot of time and a lot of money, right? Because you want to do it yourself, but you haven't like researched it. You have to like yeah. Get a planner if you're not financially if you're not there. Okay. What about? So next thing, plan ahead. Like I said, one thing that's helped me is I do monthly, quarterly, and yearly planning. So when I plan my month and I say, oh, you have to fly to blah blah blah, right? Then I ask you, so for example, remember I told you guys that I forgot to buy my plane ticket, so somewhere I had to go. The reason why I forgot is that I actually forgot to add that to my calendar. So because it was not on my calendar, I didn't have the automatic trigger I had put in place to remind me to go ahead and plan for the trip. And planning for the trip would have included your hotel or where you stay and plane ticket and things like that. Okay. Another thing I want to say is that once you've planned, when you're done, ask yourself, is there anything I need to buy that will support my plans, right? So, like I said, it could be hotels, it could be renting a car, it could be whatever. Make sure you do it. Go ahead and also buy or pay important things that would, like for example, insurance, like, right, if you rent a car, just go ahead and get the insurance if you don't have one, right? Like doing those things that helps your planning is so important. um so for me, another thing I do is I rather pay extra to buy the refundable ticket and just go ahead and book earlier than having to wait, right? Because I'm not sure if I can go. I'll go like Southwest. Okay, they're not sponsoring this. If you want to sponsor this, Southwest, hit me up. But Southwest has been amazing because I'm able to just buy a ticket when I feel like I need it, and if dates change or I'm unable to get those, I just credit it back. That way, I still use it. I know I'm gonna travel somewhere, right? So it's very important to think about things like that that will help you, because sometimes you're like, oh, I'm just waiting for so to determine before I buy my ticket. But sometimes if you waited, you're gonna end up like, you know, losing a lot of money, right? So, what about gullible market or emotional spending? Okay, those are two different things. Gullible market is like because we're so face value, where what you get, we think that a lot of things that people tell us are real, right? So, I always say also like everything is marketed. If you walk around and you see the BMW signal or logo, that's marketed, right? It doesn't have to be this is a commercial for you to think something's marketed. And then from an emotional standpoint, sadness, anxiety can make you just purchase things overnight because you're trying to fill a void, you know? So I always say when you have big things, um, and you want to go shop for those things, always make a budget even before you leave the house. Okay? Like just be honest with yourself, like, okay, am I really going to use this thing? Like for example, let's say you like books. I have given up buying books. I don't buy any books except the ones where I want to use as a decor in my room, because I have so many books I am yet to open a chapter. So guess what, I rather pay $14 a month and get like all the books I want to read versus like just just say, oh, I'm gonna read it eventually, and then I never do, right? Um, So I think really that's one of the things you have to think about, for planning or marketing or buying stuff, like the being honest with yourself. Do I really, really need this right now? Not do I want it right now. Do I really, really need it right now? I think anywhere you are, you should always have a system in place to help you not be impulsive. Okay. Don't get trapped in the anxiety of whether, oh, are they cutting me? Is this marketing? Oh, that itself is actually worse for our ADHD brain. So I always say recommend have a spending limit budget. Like, okay, if it's more than a certain minute, money, it could be $100 for you, it could be $1,000 for you. Something where like if you lose that money, you're going to be angry. So tell yourself if it's more than look. So for me, I say if it's more than $1,000, I have to think through it and buy the next day. And I could tell you there's been little time that I've actually still bought that thing, right? So I am so glad for that rule I've placed for myself. So you had to place some kind of rule to prevent you from overly spending, okay? Another thing I think about is when I want to spend, is it going to help me create more time or more focus? Because I feel like that's the currency for ADHD. Um, and how is that going to help do that? If it's going to do that, then maybe you do need to get it soon to be able to create more time and more focus. So I think those are the big things. I'm gonna kind of think of head the other things I do that helps. Oh yeah, so subscription boxes or regular subscription. Make sure you review them and decide if you still want to use them or it's not worth it, and go ahead and unsubscribe. Another thing you need to think about is like all these apps where you have like a 7 day trial, a 6 day trial, a 30 day trial. Make sure it's set an alarm about a couple of days before it is due. That way you could just go ahead and cancel it. Okay? What else? What else? What free time? Uh, oh, if you have courses, a lot of people buy courses that they want to learn from. If you have a lot of courses that you haven't like learned from or do, I would recommend you actually do those before buying more, right? Because, oh, this new stuff just came out as a new shining object. But here's the thing, if you don't think in the mindset of, okay, I haven't even finished what I have, all you're basically doing is collecting courses, right? So it's very important to think from that lens. What else? Oh, if you have bills, make sure you scan all your receipt or have them emailed to you if possible from the wherever you're buying it from. Okay? What I want. Oh, Apple Pay. Okay, Apple Pay and using Amazon. I always say for Amazon, what I do is I basically put it when I want to buy something on Amazon. I put it, I order it, but I don't check out, right? And I've picked like a couple of days are the only days I could check out for Amazon, except if I have something pressing the day that needs to come. So that's when we do Amazon Prime for that. But for regular Amazon, you have to, not Amazon Prime, when I say Amazon, same day, Amazon Now is what I mean by that, for things you need the same day. But for other stuff, like plan ahead for it, right? Put it in a cart. If you still want it on the day you choose to purchase it, then you get it at that time, okay? So I think those were the most important thing I just want to talk about when it comes to ADHD tasks. Okay, so that's it for another episode of Lolly Tasking. Yeah, thank you for talking about money with me. Yeah. All right. So after listening to this episode, I want you to think to yourself, what is one thing you're going to do that either you've done before or you're going to start doing? Go ahead and join our Facebook group so you could continue the conversation from that from there. So thank you for hanging out with me today. And I hope you have an amazing intentional week ahead. Don't be a stranger. If you have any questions or want to talk about this extensively, you feel free to join our Facebook group. That way you know how to get in touch with me. So, that being said, don't forget to follow us on IG or email us and leave a review. You may just be the next one I give a shout out to. Okay? So till next time, remember, you can do it too. With some planning, a little bit of determination. What do I say? With a little bit of balance and a dash of determination. Oh my gosh, guys. Have a wonderful day. Ta-da!
Thanks for hanging out with us on another episode of Lollytasking with ADHD. If you like what you've heard today, I would love for you to click the subscribe button, rate, and leave a great review, in addition to sharing with your friends. Your review allows visibility and also allows other amazing women to find this podcast. Also, if you have any questions or topics you would like for us to discuss, please contact me via direct message on Instagram at lollytasker or email us at hello@lollytasking.com. Till next time, this is Lollytasking with ADHD.